I'm in the club with all my bitches. This shit overly loaded. All these rats on me, I can't even hold them. Sheesh. Look at that motherfucker. Look at that motherfucker. Loaded.
Holy cow, it's the first on damn Walmart. And the blood clot place damn near empty. Everybody cart normal size. They're not paying no cat, cause we're paying cash. Everybody cart normal, no $1,000 buggy. And this is, what time is it now? What, 12? What time is it? 3:34 on the first. And Walmart now start the sales nicely packed. Oh my gosh. Right now, short Walmart stocks, short Kroger. Their sales are going to be down, guys. Let's get it.
Only in America do we have people that have $1,200 iPhones checking to see if their SNAP benefits hit.
Welcome to the show, guys. It's Talks with Kenny here today, and we're going to be talking about the EBT eviction day. Apparently, that's a trend that's going on TikTok, and I showed you a couple of videos kind of are borderlining those kind of topics. And I want to talk about EBT because I got a lot of comments, and I've been seeing a lot of things on X as well from the left specifically, right? The left is Bible twisting again. They're going out here and say, "Oh, this man got a Praise Jesus shirt, but he's dancing in a store because 42 million people can't afford to feed themselves." That people are going to the food bank to get food, and I'm sitting there going, "Stop trying to use conservative values and try to use it as a means to manipulate us into doing what is in your best interest, liberal Democrat." You want people dependent on the system. You don't want people to be self-sustaining. Because someone made an interesting point about the EBT video. You don't hear a single conservative complaining about EBT being out this month. You saw from the intro. The first video are the kind of videos that make working class Americans, such as myself and other people, have no sympathy for these people, bragging about how we working for them, right? That they were too lazy to go get a job, but they're not lazy enough to stand in line and go to a food bank. Able-bodied people threatening to rob stores, but don't have the capability to want to go do a job, right? Remember all those videos with those obese women bragging about their EBT SNAP hauls at the grocery store, which I showed you in the intro? All the junk food, the soda, the energy drinks, grotesque amounts. That's why so many of us don't care about the SNAP being paused. They threw it in our face day after day after day. And I alluded to something about, growing up in the hood. I alluded to the fact that people sell the EBT benefits because obviously they can't use the cash in the EBT card. So they use it as a way to convert cash, right? My friend just told me that his coworker was on the job pissed about SNAP going away, saying, "Man, now what am I going to do?" My friend asked, "Don't you make too much money for that anyway?" The reply, "I buy $2,000 worth of SNAP a month for $500 from a certain person. Now I have to pay full price for groceries. Is this common? How common? Very common. Very common." And this is the corruption that many people are pointing out about these SNAP benefits. This is why I am a conservative. I'm sorry. Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. If I give you an incentive structure where people like you and me who are not on SNAP have to nickel and dime, spend money within a certain budget, say yay or nay to certain items for necessities, but someone who's living off the system has no intentions to contribute to the system, is raking in 3,000 grand a month worth of groceries and hauling it 3 carts full. So much food that they're throwing it away. What incentive are you putting out in society? And this is what makes me a conservative. You could have good intentions about the EBT. Yes, the intentions of EBT was to help the elderly, the disabled, people who are falling on hard times. But as a conservative, I ask you a question: how you're making sure that bad actors don't use and abuse the system? What policies do you have in place to make sure these benefits, these assistance are available to people who actually need it? And what ways are you enforcing those things? That's what conservatives ask themselves. because the road to hell was led with good intentions. The intentions of the policy may be pure, but look at the results. Look at the outcome. You almost have 12. You have 12% of Americans on these programs. And there's no level of fraud? None? You think this is a good thing to almost have 12% of your society on these government benefits? You think that's sustainable? I'm just asking. This is why conservatives want restrictions. Conservatives lean on the side of, hey, we need strict guidelines, strict caution to make sure that bad actors cannot use these systems for those who is it intended for. And this is why I'm saying that people who are on these government assistance, they shouldn't be allowed to vote. These assistance should be temporary. Because what incentive do you have to get off the gravy train? You're incentivizing dependence and comfort. And this is why I do not think having government assistance indefinitely is good public policy, because it gives off the wrong incentive. But I digress. I want to play this clip about SNAP benefits corruption exposed. I gave you some examples of how it's been misused, how many people on these systems gloat about the fact that they're on these systems, and what kind of entitlement that this policy has incentivized in these people who are on the SNAP benefits. Let's take a look.
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But, Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer.
And I already know where this video is going to go with many people who, are trying to blame everyone on the snaps and try to use the sympathy angle, right? Trying to gaslight us to just go along with reckless spending. If I told you, hey, the Republican Party wants a government program where they incentivize people to vote for them, you guys will call that a bribe. Welcome to food stamps. Welcome to EBT. Welcome to SNAP. That is what the Democratic Party has been using as a tactic to control and corral and bribe 42 million possible voters on the system. And they don't talk about all the fraud with it, the waste, fraud, and abuse. And, Democrats try to downplay, saying that there wasn't much fraud in SNAP to begin with. There was 4% of fraudulent charges. Now it's down 3%. Sorry, now it's down 1% since the Doge stuff. Oh, so you're saying that we were able to find fraud and lowered the amount of instances of fraud. And we can try to get that number close to 0 as possible to free up the resources for everyone else. Because this is a problem I think the EBT people don't understand. And I think that entitlement is the word of the day. Because the Democrats push this as an entitlement. Oh, you're entitled to these things. And now you see people, instead of, going to work, because this is government assistance. This is supposed to help you be in a better position so you can help yourself. But what incentive is WIC and all these other stuff pushing you to actually get out of their thumb? None whatsoever. You're sitting there being comfortable in poverty, and then when the government goes bye-bye or the government shut down, now you're looking, what I have to do, where I got to go, where I'm going to get my food. And instead of saying, How can I help myself in this situation? Many of these people are going to food banks. And then the Democrats are going to try to launch propaganda to make us feel guilty about this stuff.
We're here outside a food bank in Los Angeles. You can see the long line of people here right now that are lining up to get food assistance.
This is what we've seen across LA and across the country as the government shutdown has put SNAP benefits in jeopardy for 42 million Americans. On Friday, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to distribute payments as soon as possible. President Trump said that he's going to ask the court how the government can legally fund that program during the shutdown. He says that if it's legally possible, he will give the funding, but even so, payments will be delayed.
Multiple people have told us over the past few days that this is their first time coming to a food bank. We went to one food bank here in LA that told us they are seeing record numbers of people showing up.
We're shattering records that you don't want to shatter. We had 803 families all alone last week, and we're going to pass that.
While me and you every day busting our butts, they living off of our tax dollars, right? They take 20, 24, some of you guys, 30% of your income monthly for taxes to fund their laziness. And that's a problem a lot of working class people have, because that's 30% of money that could have been for my family, that could have helped me absorb those food costs that's been increasing lately, right? If you want to go with the Democrats' argument here, that's money that's coming out of my pocket to put into a pot. So these lazy people, some of them maybe, if you're disabled, elderly, hey, I have nothing against you. But if you're a young, able-bodied person, or you bought the food stamps of someone who's supposed to be dead, and you're using them, this is what we're talking about. Conservatives are not heartless, right? As much as the Democrats like to try to paint us as evil bad guys, all we're saying is, hey, we need to protect those who are on the system, but we can't let it be so open that anyone who just walk up and find some half-ass excuse, oh, I can't work. Do you have a disability? No, but I don't do well in stress and therefore I'm this. No, we don't want no sob stories. If you're able to work, work. And then you got these progressives online, don't believe in God, don't believe in religion, but are quick to say, oh, you're a man of God, you're supposed to do this. And then when men of God come out and say, the Bible said, the good book said, man don't work, man don't eat. Oh, you didn't see that one, liberal, but you want to keep trying to use our religion to pressure us to tolerate this crap? No. Y'all upset about not getting food stamps? How do you think folks like us feel about grocery prices when we have to actually pay for our groceries? Why do you think our nails aren't done? Toes aren't done? And that's one thing I noticed on my first video that I showed when I talked about the EBT stuff. The lady in the video said that if you're happy about EBT being defunded, you're a child abusing monster. But her nails done, hair done, right? Probably shooting it on a $1,200 iPhone. But you're not the child abusing monster, not being in a position to actually help your kids just in case the government can't come through for you that day. Make it make sense. Dependency. We all have to make sacrifices. Welcome to reality, people. Welcome to reality. And I think this is why working class people are not so, this is why the Democrats can't really run on this. Can't really run on the sympathy of the American people, because one way or another, the American people are aware how many people use and abuse the system, exaggerate their own circumstances or their lack of ability of helping themselves to gain the system, gaming the system. Everyone's aware of that. A lot of people are aware of that. This is one of the issues the Democrats can't really spin too well. And this is why they're losing the argument online. And I think another thing why the EBT thing is not really getting much sympathy with working class Americans is because any person I saw in EBT, they don't look like what you think of starving. You don't care. You don't see the African type of poverty when you think of starving people who need to be on SNAP, right? There's something I always quoted on this channel that I heard as a joke from a African immigrant. I want to go to America because even their poor people are fat. I'll say that again. Even their poor people are fat. So we have this understanding of what poverty means compared to the rest of the world. Even if you're poor in America, you are 1% rich. You're still part of the 1% globally across the world when it comes to the standards of poverty. 70 to 73% of SNAP recipients are overweight or obese. But the narrative is, oh my God, starving people. SNAP recipients are more likely to be obese, 44% to 47%, than non-recipients, 32 to 35%, who are equally poor. Maybe they actually don't need their nutrition supplemented. It appears they're currently overfed. As you saw from a lot of the bins, this is overconsumption. And this is one of the incentives that I talk about. You're going to spend your money more responsibly when it's your money, and you're more likely, more incentivized to be more reckless with someone else's money. And we're seeing the exact theory play out with EBTs. These people overeat, overspend, overindulge, and the results speak for itself.
You're the one living the luxury life, no job, still getting paid. See, you think this is because we don't care, but really this is because you don't care. Because that's not free money. That's my money. My nails aren't done and yours are. I'm not selfish for wanting more of my money to go to me. I work, I budget, I sacrifice, I skip luxury so my family's needs are met. See, conservatives weren't sitting around in a seance, okay, begging for people to lose their benefits. You think we get some weird satisfaction out of people losing them. But that's not what this is, okay? This is out of all of our control, but you get evidence of where other people's money is going, and you're not thinking, oh, I need to start looking for a job. It's messed up that it's other people's money. No, you're thinking I need to start looting, stealing, and burning. You don't care that some of us are...
Hey, EBT people, right? I know some people will complain, but this is America calling y'all guys out. Hey, the 12%, you're relying on the 88% that's not on the welfare system and the food stamp system. We funding this stuff, right? Don't go rubbing in our face. Don't do all. Hey, do what you need to do. But this is why I'm saying these people shouldn't be able to vote, because we see you guys as like you bribe to be Democrats. Right? It goes back to the question. You don't see a single Republican crying about losing their welfare benefits, food stamp benefits. How is a whole political movement unaffected by what's going on in the government? Maybe if you're a government worker, you're affected by the government shutdown. It shows you how dependent. It shows you how Democrats use government benefits as a bribery tactic. And then black liberals will get mad when I call this ish out and saying that black liberals want Black America depending on the Democratic Party. This is why they push this stuff. This is why they push you to go on welfare, stay on welfare, finesse the system. But then you find out a lot of these people are generational. Some Black Americans want to complain about the lack of generational wealth in the Black community. A lot of these people who are on EBT, they're generationally on EBT. Their grandma was on EBT. Then they got to the mom. Then the mom got to the daughter. Then the daughter's training up. They literally built skills on how they learn how to finesse the governmental system because they've been on it for 3 to 4 generations. It's a whole hustle. I seen it firsthand. A whole hustle. And then you want to cry that you don't got the wealth like other communities. Other communities built skills that actually make them independent from any political party, while Black America is solely dependent on the Democratic Party, because their whole skill set is based on finessing the government system. And you getting mad at Black men like me who see that as, no, that's not real power. No, that's not real power. That's dependency. They got you under their thumb. That's control. Government do nothing for me. That was the philosophy of Frederick Douglass. That's what Frederick Douglass was meaning. Government do nothing for me, because when the government do something for you, it comes with some strings attached. It comes with party loyalty. This is why these Black Democrats always get mad or question your Blackness when you call this ish out from the Democratic Party, because it may benefit the Black America in the short term, but it hurts all of America in the long term, and you see it firsthand. But like I said, no one will ever vote against their own best interest, right? So these EBT people are incentivized politically to continue voting for the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party are the ones that want to lax standards, right? Want to let people use and abuse the system because it's a political bribe. Oh, you know who to vote for. You know who gives you your benefits. And you know who's trying to make it harder for you to take advantage of the system. That's the wink, wink, nudge, nudge from the Democratic Party to people who are on EBT. And that's the allure The social allure of being on the system. Oh, girl, let me teach you how to finesse the system. Whole TikToks. I'm not lying. Go, you can do the research yourself. There's whole TikToks of showing people how to finesse the system. Oh, look, I only the government pays most of my rent. And I only pay $200 a month on my rent. Let me show you how. Whole TikToks on this stuff. But you don't see how dependent you are on their system. Meaning you take them out of the system. It's like a system quarterback. When the quarterback has to make decisions on the fly, you see how good they really are. And this is how a lot of groups in the American community has been conditioned on the system to see as this their only way of life. And you wonder why you can't get ahead. You wonder why the Democratic Party takes advantage of these people's votes. Why the Democratic Party can get away in saying that these people are leveraged and they'll still vote for the Democratic Party. Because they don't like what the Republicans are doing. These are entitled people that take advantage of the system, that defrauds the system. They don't want the standards to be more scrutiny, more harder. They don't want more restrictions on these things. That's why they vote Democrat. And us Americans, as a greater whole, should not allow these people to emotionally abuse us, emotionally manipulate us into going along with their sob story here. This needs to be done. More restrictions, right? It needs to be time limited to push these people, to incentivize these people to be self-sufficient. Because if you don't put that demand on them, they won't do it of their own free will. And I think that's a reality many Americans are coming to realize. But I digress. Let's just wrap up this video.
Out here grinding while others are finessing the system and then throwing tantrums where the money stops. This is because you don't care. Your reaction.
Hey.
You're the one living.
She ain't lying, right? And this is what it is. You throwing a tantrum, you're doing what's convenient instead of doing what's necessary. 88% of America is doing what's necessary. And I always throw this question back when people try to, gaslight me or, make me feel bad about some of the things I believe is actually better for the country as a whole. Oh, what if it's your family? What if it's your... End of the day, I will tell my brother the truth or my family the truth. Hey, you can't stay like this forever. Your burden, someone else is carrying. And you don't feel any, guilt about them carrying their own burdens and your burdens. Now, scale that out to the entire society. Because I always flip the question. What if half the country was on EBT SNAP benefits? You think that's sustainable? If majority of the country was doing what you were doing, you think you'll be able to do what you're doing? No. You're literally taking advantage of the goodwill of society for your own selfish gain, for your own benefit at our expense. Right? You finessing the system. No, you're finessing America. You're finessing your fellow countrymen. You don't need those EBTs like that. You don't need $3,000 a month to feed your family. And this is why conservatives call for more restrictions. You wonder why our debt keeps ballooning because more and more people keep going on the system, right? EBTs, SNAP, they jumped 40% when Biden was in office. But why? Illegal immigration. Illegals in certain states were allowed to tap these benefits as well. That added more cost to the system. And then y'all be the same ones complaining about, the debt still rise no matter who's in office because you're forcing Republicans to compromise with the Democrats. That's just my personal take as a conservative. Obviously, I lean towards them because end of the day, I believe the government can only do one thing, set an incentive. They're the referee of the system. They set the rules. And I believe the current rules currently stated by EBTs in the current welfare state is not conducive to a self-sustaining country. That's my argument. It's a policy one. So don't try to emotionally blackmail me. Not trying to make me feel, I ain't going to feel guilty. Because I see guilt is the tactic of those who don't want to change, who just want to continue living off the system. That's why I like her commentary. She was like, it's not that we don't care. You don't care. You don't care how your current action is affecting society, the national budget. Sure, you're one person, but there's many people who think like you in scale is what's contributing to the current situation that we're in right now. But as long as things are convenient for you, right? And I think this is why a lot of Americans don't have as much sympathy for this SNAP stuff as maybe the left originally calculated. Who knows? But end of the day, we'll see at the end of the election. Because end of the day, this week election will give us a good mirror how most of the nation is seeing what's going on with the government shutdown. But let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Do you reflect my commentary about the EBT eviction or eradication day? Do you notice in your own stores that there's less foot traffic than you usually remember on your grocery runs? Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.